So campus life and student development, as I said the other day in our meeting, we are literally, or basically 100% funded through student service fees in terms of the Dean of Student Affairs office. And what you're going to see is, like yesterday I think you heard from Fraternity and Sorority Life, Campus Rec, and Children's Learning Center. Those are three areas under the umbrella of campus life and student development, which is at most universities called student affairs, student success, student engagement. There's a lot of different names for it. So, so we're funded by student service fees through those requests from those divisions or those departments, plus a request directly from my office. And then we're also funded by dedicated fees that the Student Center and the Rec Center receive. So there's a world of fee requests out there for student service fees for the student service department, student affairs department, but they're all kind of umbrellaed under different requests and different names. So what I wanted to do today was just to run through what is campus life and student development, and then talk a little bit about my specific request, because I do have a pretty hefty request that funds a number of the folks that are in my office. With that, the asterisk is that of those student service fees and those dedicated fees, the only person that's not funded through those is myself. The President's office funds my salary because I'm on the President's cabinet. I report directly to the President, and the President just deems that to be important that I be funded through his office. So, we have a mission statement. Campus life and student development promotes a culture of intellectual exploration and inclusion by facilitating student-centered programming, developing student leaders and globalized citizens, providing services and facilities designed to encourage continued learning outside the classroom. That is a mouthful, and we are working on that. We are working on a new strategic plan, a new strategic direction for the division. We've been waiting until the university gets their strategic plan well underway. We think we're at a point now where that's about to be unveiled, so we can start working on ours. So that's me. We have some priorities that we've been working on over the last year since I've been here. I think I'm on day, let's see, 1 year and 14 days. Yeah, now that I'm counting. So they are strategic planning. As I said, we want to give our division some direction. We want to do some facility branding. Hopefully this summer, we're going to do some significant work in this building and in the rec center, so that when you walk in these spaces, you know you're at Texas A&M Commerce. We want images of students on the walls. We want spaces where students can look and say, I feel welcome here, I feel comfortable here, I want to be here. And we also want spaces where potential students can walk in and look at pictures and say, you know what, that could be me. So we have a very long-range plan for this building and the rec center in terms of rebranding it. We're going to start on just the atrium and the space outside of the big ballrooms in this building, and we're going to do the gymnasium and the entrance to the rec center this summer. That's our hope. We've gotten most of the designs done. We're working toward that, and then the next phase would be to actually do some branding and some marketing in all of our rooms. My idea is that, you know, maybe the room that student government meets in becomes a student government association room instead of whatever it's called, innovations, I think. Legacy. Okay, I mean, it would still be called Legacy because to get a name change at a system university is impossible. But we'd like to brand it with SGA images and SGA things so that students kind of start referring to it as the SGA room. Because when y'all have a conversation about having your meetings, you're not going to say, yeah, we met in Legacy. It'd be great if y'all as graduates could say, yeah, you know, we're talking to another student who followed you 5 years later, who was in student government, said, yeah, we had our meetings in the student government room. Does that make sense? So I'm thinking Pride Marching Band could have one, and I think there's avenues for funding for those. So collaboration is a priority, and that is us working with every department on campus to promote student success, both inside and outside the classroom. Traditions is a priority, and we're going to talk a little bit about that because there's a couple of those one-time special funding requests that I put in for some traditions and to bring back some traditions. Staffing, our division has experienced some significant staffing changes since I've been here, and we're looking at those, and we're looking at where people are and and how our divisions put together from an organizational chart perspective, make sure we have the right people in the right spaces, and that we're very efficient with our staffing, that we have the right numbers and things. As you met Autumn Johnson yesterday, the new director of the rec center, one of the things that she's going to come in is really look and make sure that staffing serves our center well and serves our students well, so that's important. Advancement, we're looking at the potential of partnering, and we've already started partnering with Advancement in order to do a fundraising branch for our division. I would love for us to start some sort of endowment that can help us in terms of some lasting funds going forward for campus life and student development. To the extent that I hope at some point, not this coming year, but maybe in the years to come, that we would actually have a full-time advancement officer, either through the Office of Advancement or that reports directly to me, that just basically works on going out and finding grants for students, finding grants for our department, finding grants for our divisions, and finding other funding avenues, so that we become less reliant on student service fees in terms of the operations of our division. And then assessment. We're striving to build a better assessment tool, a better assessment model. One of the things that we're working on right now that is a lot bigger project than I thought it would be, because I was hoping to be further along after the first year, is that, we swipe pretty much everybody when they go to events and things. And I would really like to take all that information and aggregate it so that we can build a model or I guess the word now is avatar of a successful student. So I can sit down with a student and say, a freshman, first year student, and say, the students who are involved in student organizations, who go to student events, who live on campus, we could even drill down to that have a 19 meal plan, that go to the cafeteria 4 times a week, that go to tutoring, or all those things, and those are the students that really are successful on our campus, that graduate and then go on to do great things. And we could almost build a model or a student profile of what a successful student looks like, and then collaborate with other departments, other divisions on campus in order to help provide those opportunities and those situations where we can put students in those experiences so that they can meet that profile and be successful. So we have the Office of Student Rights and Responsibilities, and Steve is our Associate Dean and deals with that. That's basically our conduct, our adjudication office. He'll be doing a presentation in the next day or so in terms of asking for some funding to support that office. That is our profile there. I think I may have missed a slide. No, I guess it was in there. I really was hoping, I thought I'd put a slide here of our whole organization. We have about 115 FTE and part-time employees. That's non-student, non-graduate assistant, non-interns. If you add the graduate students, the interns, and the student workers to that model, there's about 546 individuals that work in our campus life and student development area. I don't know how that compares with the other divisions on campus, but I would assume that the only one that might be larger is academic affairs because of the number of adjunct faculty that we have. But in terms of actual profile of people that are in our divisions, I think we're definitely one of the largest on campus, no doubt about that. So this is Steve's area. Just a look, Marcy Lewis, our associate director. He has a graduate assistant. Some of this needs to be updated in terms of some open positions, so we have filled that position. Student rights and responsibilities have had some priorities in 19. Decrease the volume of student conduct issues. Steve will talk about these maybe a little bit more when he does his presentation. We also have a Department of Residence Living and Learning. All of our housing is under campus life and student development. We have over 1 million square foot of residential space on campus, a pretty big footprint. About 2,600 students currently live on campus. We could expand that to about 3,200. Right now we're profiled for right at 2,600, so about a 92–94% occupancy rate with housing. A lot of our activities and things center around housing. There's our housing chart. So just again, a large number of folks that work in our Department of Residence Life and Learning. Campus recreation, as we spoke of, Autumn, our new director over there. And then that's the chart for campus recreation in terms of their staffing. Fraternity and sorority life is under campus life and student development. A little smaller staff there. We met Jessica and Deanna yesterday. And then the counseling center, of course, is one of our divisions. Pretty robust center. So if those that are appearing, if you haven't heard from them already, you're going to in terms of funding. And our large, we have 8 positions for counselors. Children's Learning Center, Helena, you met her yesterday. Pretty good sized staff at the Children's Learning Center. Student Health Services, I think the best kept secret on campus. We need to do a better job of promoting that because they do a lot of great work for our students. Nursing staff, medical providers. Leadership Engagement and Leads and Seeds is part of our division. And Danielle, you'll be hearing from her later too. Crystal works in that office. Student Disability Services and Resources, you heard from Rebecca yesterday, part of our division, her staff. And then the Sam Rayburn Student Center, and John Weatherford is our director here, and a pretty significant staff in terms of the Rayburn Student Center as well. So all of those divisions, all of those departments are going to see you over the next couple of days. I wanted you to just get a better picture of who Campus Life and Student Development is. I still have people that kind of look at me when I use that term, student affairs, and who we are. There are some positions that are funded directly through my funding request. I've asked for $320,000 this year. Last year, I got $296,741. It's an odd number because I'm going to be honest. At the end of the day, we were looking for dollars, and I just said, "Cut me to get us whole." So that's what we did. That's why that number's odd. The previous year we were at $315. The majority of the increase is in some salaries, just because we've had to make some salary adjustments. The 3 FTEs that are funded here are Stacy and a business person, and then the other person that's funded out of this budget is a person that works with student advocacy and student support. We have 3 student workers that work in our office. Those are benefits and things. So the majority of that you see is salaries. Professional development is for myself and some others to travel to some professional conferences, to learn best practices and those sort of things. And then the other big chunk is this $53,000, which is operating. A small portion of that is copies and pens and pencils and things. But the biggest portion of that operating is actually awarded right back to students who come to me with student requests. For instance, Pride Alliance came to me this year. They didn't get any funding through SSF. They couldn't get funding through SOAC. So we funded. We took some money out of that fund to help them with that show. I've helped some students with travel. I've helped some student groups with travel. Quite honestly, what I do is I have students come make a presentation to me. I require them to do that. And if their presentation is one that I think is worthwhile and fitting, then we fund it. I don't want this word to get out, but I have not said no to anybody this year. Fortunately, I've been able to do that. We've had some other savings that have provided me a little bit bigger pool there, so we've been able to fund a number of things. There are some situations where students come to me and can't get SOAC funds because maybe SOAC's run out of money, or they're not a student organization yet, or they're in the process of that. So that's a great pool for that. Spent $10,000 this year on the alternative spring break from that pool. Just a number of things. So our operating numbers look high, but literally we use a lot of that to give straight back to students. Provides just another avenue for us to help students and help those sort of things. So that's my request for this year. And again, when we sit down and get to the meat of the meetings, we'll talk about it. I'll try to stay out of it as much as possible in terms of looking at that. So a couple things I put in for as one-time requests. I'm not sure if you are familiar or not, but the university, this picture is of Sam Rayburn and the Victory Bell, and this is the Victory Bell. Currently it's outside of Ferguson Hall, kind of in the parking lot. And this is a tradition that the university had years and years and years ago as East Texas State, and then it kind of continued. In fact, the Victory Bell literally was there, and it was actually rung. One of Sam Rayburn's jobs when he was on campus was to ring this bell when classes were over, and in the beginning of classes every year. The bell was also rang during significant times when the university would get awarded a big grant, or when there was some sort of celebration for some kind of success at the university. The bell itself is in disrepair, and in fact, we've had some people come look at it, and because we were hoping to kind of bring this tradition back, and basically told us that if you ring it, it's just going to disintegrate. So my hope is that we can get some money, and this is not nearly enough to do what we'd like to do, but I've got some other partners out there, the President's Office, the Athletic Department, some of our auxiliary services and things that could come together to actually give us some more funds. So what we'd like to do is construct somewhere on campus, we haven't really decided yet where, but some sort of a Victory Bell tower. These are not large structures, but these are some samples that are kind of out there. We would have to buy a new bell. Our plan is that we take the old bell and enshrine it some way here in the Student Center as an artifact, but build a new bell and make that available for students and groups to ring as a celebration, or as a mark of, that something really important, something significant has happened at the university. We would then work this around a tradition that we want to bring back as well in terms of the class rings. And I don't know if you're familiar with, like Stephen F. Austin does something where you wear your class ring and you dip it. They have a dipping ceremony. There's a huge class ring ceremony at Texas A&M College Station. So we would like to try to bring back this idea of our class rings. We're working with our vendors right now for pricing to make them more affordable, those sort of things. But then we're thinking is that we would use the Victory Bell for our class ring ceremony, and literally students would walk up with their class ring and ring the bell with their ring as part of the ring ceremony. We would do this every year at a certain time and make a big deal out of it, but just the idea of bringing back what is really a tradition, was a tradition at one point on our campus, a pretty significant tradition on our campus that we'd like to bring back, because I just don't think we have enough of those traditions that students and alumni and faculty staff can look to. So that's one of my requests. The other one is, sounds kind of crazy maybe, but I would like to purchase and install some life-size letters. I don't know if you've seen some of these out and around, but on campus my thought is put a set here next to the Student Center, maybe a set over in the amphitheater close to our athletic venues, and literally they would be life-size letters such as this. My thought is to have one that would be the word Pride, with the I and the T, or the I missing, and students could go in and be the I and have a selfie or take a picture or something. And then the T down here, or the E down here, students could go make a T, and then just take a picture of the E and the T with them making a T, and it'd be E.T. And then again, the same thing with the word Lions. So we've kind of priced these out and looked at them, and that would be about $8,000 to do 2 installations, permanent installations. We would do them in a way that they would look like an art installation. So they wouldn't just be these odd letters staying around, but students would obviously know what they could be for. And I think that when we have high school groups and main event and just all these groups, Model Arab League that we've been talking about, I think it's a great way for us to promote our university in terms of social media and those sort of things, because these seem to be very popular in other places. Okay, so with that, I'll answer any questions. Yeah.
Is there going to be something in collaboration with these things? I think they're wonderful, but like, I wasn't here for the homecoming presentation.
Yeah.
But something so the campus knows these things are coming back to establish.
Yes. We've already started working on, we have a ring committee, and out of the ring committee has come this idea of bringing back the Victory Bell. So we do have some committees that are campus wide. They're not just campus life and student development folks that we put together that have started working on these. So yeah, they've been talked about, and that's why, especially with the Victory Bell piece, it would be a collaborative effort. It's for us to construct something of this nature. We're probably talking about, I think we're talking probably probably between $80,000 and $100,000, and or if even something more extravagant than that. And so that's why, you know, I've talked to the Vice President of Business Affairs and some others, and there's some other pots of money out there. If we can get some seed money and get this kind of plant the seed and say, hey, we've got this money, will you help us with it? And there others would come to the table.
A suggestion for it, I don't know if we're to this point yet, is if you use the image on the left-hand side, getting alumni to donate or to give money for the
exactly.
grants.
Yeah, yeah. And these are just, and those are just ones, and these are not specifically what we would do. These are just literally ones that I just found on the internet to kind of give you an idea of what I'm thinking about. So we would have somebody do a rendering and a drawing and work on it that way. Yeah. We've already contacted a company actually that could make us a bell. They're the same company that came out and identified whether ours was reusable. We were thinking maybe we could fix ours, but it's just not. It's beyond.
I have a question. So you talked about different groups and stuff doing to and for special requests, and I knew about that. It seems like you've also been involved in emergency or like students in crisis or things like that. Does that come out of those funds too, or is that from a different pot?
Yeah, no, it comes out of those. Any money that I reward to students or anybody comes out of that pot.
So like when the fire and displacement or food stuff or things like that?
Yeah, now say that, you know, some of the food stuff, I have some funds, they're not really funds, they're just meal equivalencies that are available to me through our food service contract, and I use some of those. We used, when there was a fire at one of the apartment complexes off campus, we were able to tap into some housing funds to give them temporary housing. But we did provide some funds to buy toiletries and some other things like that. It's interesting because I've got a couple on my desk right now, and I know I have another student that's coming to see me this week to ask for some funds, and because we're close to the end of the year, they're starting to be diminished greatly. Stacy knows. She's the one that counts the dollars, she counts the pennies. So, yeah. Okay, anything else? All right, thank you. I'll get this presentation to Stacy so she can put it on the sharing drive. So with that, are we at lunch yet? No.
Do you have something for legal services?
Oh, legal services. I don't have anything for legal services.